family is talk shows. Find your own voice. Lead from within. With me today, we've got Dr. Laura and Claudia Pasa and Snow and Khan. So, Claudia, you chose this topic talking about relationship.
Mm.
Are you yourself sabotaging your relationship? You explain the topic please, to our audience.
Yes, for sure. Welcome, everyone. Yes, I chose this topic because it just resonated, and I'm sure as well. It's always good to talk about certain things, especially as well relationships, because we tend to forget as well as we are in our own pattern, our own programs, our own world, and therefore it's always good to have the reflection and to remind us well from outside. And self-sabotaging, I don't know. I mean, it's something I'm sure all of us did at some point in our lives. And it was just, I just wanted to get together here and to share our experiences and what has helped us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Claudia. How do you relate to the topic, Carol Ann?
Oh, yeah. As soon as I saw it, it was like, yes, I know. How do I sabotage myself in relationships? Well, I did, but I didn't realize I was doing it at the time. I think that's, you realize what you are doing to sabotage that relationship or to to create problems in that relationship. It wasn't until afterwards that marriage ended. That I started to realize my part in it. Quite happy to see, my partner's problems and, his childhood, how his childhood had affected him and why he was like he was. But so yeah, interesting. So I think it's a great topic to explore. Great topic.
Mm-hmm.
Are you there, Dr. Laura?
There's a little bit of a break.
Can
you hear me now?
Okay, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a little bit of a break there. I beg your pardon. Oh my gosh. I haven't been on for a minute, but in a minute. And this topic is so relevant. I mean, I think it's almost natural in a way that when we come out of the chute, when we're born, and we're trained, some people call it parenting, we're socialized, we're nurtured, we're people give care to us, we're trained by our parents, and we learn how they interact with the world, and then we rely upon them to survive. I mean, literally, these large people, and we rely on them for food, and then family is love. We're told that, and then family does this stuff, whatever that stuff is. So that's what this love is. This stuff makes sense. Well, if that's what I know, how the heck am I going to know to do anything different? And so if I keep making the same mistake, it's not even a mistake in my mind, only until like, wow, other people don't do that. They don't hurt. I mean, is it possible that maybe I'm the problem? I mean, lowest common denominator. If I keep doing the same thing, I'm going to get the same result. When am I going to change? And for sure. I remember specifically, this is back in the day when I was going to college. God, I never thought I'd say that. I sound like my mother, who's amazing, by the way. And I used to purposefully pick a fight before I would leave to go back for the after the weekend was over, because I come back and spend time with my boyfriend. I purposely would. Why? Because it's easier to be mad. I'm leaving now. Okay, right. It's easier to be mad and leave. I love you so much. I don't want to leave because that hurts too much. It hurts my heart. If I'm mad at you, then it hurts my. And so bye. See you later. Not bye. See you later. So it's logical. Makes kind of sense. And then when we know better, we do better. And that's not fun. In fact, and I'll end with this, is that I started to dislike myself because of the words that I was saying about him in my mind and to him, because I knew they weren't true. And not only was I sabotaging myself, I was sabotaging the relationship and I was hurting him. And that's trifecta didn't work for me very long. So there was a moment of clarity that I had that I was able to say, this isn't working anymore. So that was my little moment of clarity.
Yeah, I love that, Dr. Laura. Like the whole hurt people saying is very, I feel like very potent right there. I feel like oftentimes self-sabotage comes from a place of fear, fear and trauma, really. Fear of getting hurt, feeling of being abandoned, usually things that stem from childhood as well. Trust issues, poor self-esteem also is a big one that self-sabotage comes from. So I think it's a fantastic topic. I think there's lots of reasons why someone might self-sabotage in a relationship. And I feel like we've all been on the receiving end or on the, on the giving end at some point in our life. It's possible for us to be toxic, even though we don't always want to admit it. It does happen. So I feel like this is a fantastic topic. I'm excited to talk about it.
I agree with you guys. We do sabotage our relationship in so many ways, and sometimes when you have fear and you don't believe in yourself, your mind will start making things up, like was saying, like, I'm not enough, or maybe we see things that are not there when it comes to life, or when it comes to like when you let's say relationship. Women tend to say, no one can't find someone that is on my league, and that is an excuse, that I can't find someone that is on my league. If you are looking for somebody, there is somebody for everything, but we intend to use that as an excuse. I was watching YouTube channel the other day, and this guy actually was going around interviewing women, and women, it was like, who is your type when it comes to relationship? And women were like describing, like, I don't like dating normal guys, I like to date bad guys, and he has to be 6 foot two or over 6 foot, or he has to be a guy that goes to the gym with big muscles. And you girls were describing it, and he was like, and then in the end he said, anyway, I've been listening to you girls talking, saying this guy is not on my leg, so what is the league anyway? And he was like, what is the league anyway? And the girls were like, they couldn't in it when they say they're not looking for somebody, they're looking for somebody that is in their league. So it's like myself, I may say, like, I'm single and I have fear. Maybe I've been hurt before, but I have this fear inside. Instead of me going for what I want, I'll be making excuses and saying, I don't think there's someone out there for me. I don't think I don't think there are good men out there. We make all these excuses, but I love to hear what Chloe and Carol have to say.
I mean, yes. So, as Robin already mentioned, fear is one of the reasons why we could self-sabotage, and as well, self-esteem came up as well, like low self-esteem and worthiness as well. If we don't feel like we are worthy of love and a good relationship and everything. So these are just like some of the major reasons why we actually do self-sabotage. I did like as well Dr. Laura's example when she shared with us how she was self-sabotaging, and I have actually as well a few things what I did in the past. It's like how we can identify that we're actually doing it. It's like by holding grudges, so that we just the partner's doing something and then we hold the grudge against him, so that we are constantly reminded about him and that we don't see the positive side here. So rather the negativity as well of the relationship, and as well something as well like a sign could be as well that we put the energy everything else but not in the relationship too, so that we just do it as well to self-sabotage. Focusing on my partner's imperfections. I was guilty as well of this in the past, just like, again, not wanting to be swept away on this cloud of romance and opening up and letting the intimacy be more explored as well. And as well, using the silent treatment. This was as well like more of a punishment I did. And I heard as well from some of my clients that these are as well like silent treatments. So yeah, but basically, yeah, one of the reasons is like low self-esteem, low self-worth, fear as well, and the lack of trust. The lack of trust.
Lack of trust. I think go with that one, because I was always in my mind questioning my ex-husband. Is he actually going to go off with somebody? Even though I was always saying I trusted him and I wouldn't, but it was always in the back of my mind. I hadn't realised actually how much it was there. It just seemed to be part of my thinking. So I was always looking for proof, or looking for evidence that he was going off with somebody else, and that doesn't feel healthy in itself. And each year I'd be, you're going to do this. And there's always some parents keep us going another year, as if I wasn't trusting that it could, this relationship was actually going anywhere. And but yeah, we used to use the silent treatment. Oh, all the time, not speak for days, weeks on end, and it's like it's horrible. It is a place to be in, that somehow you just don't know how to get out of. You don't know how to change it. And in those days, it was just how it was, and it just didn't get worse, really. And then when we did up talking, it was like everything just got. We were then planning again, and we seemed to be happy. We're going to do just what we were doing. Never talk about what we really need to talk about. Is a key to creating a much healthier relationship. If you can recognize what you're doing and talk about it, and say, look, this silent treatment doesn't work for me. How else can we resolve this? How else can we be in this? Talk about it. Say, well, I feel like I don't want to talk. And maybe just ask for time out, not to talk. So you actually communicate that I can't say anything at the moment. I really feel like I can't speak. And then allow that silence to be there. But it's not in that anger, I'm not speaking to you anymore. And then you're all left going on. Able to communicate what is going on and to move forward is something to work towards and look at creating that habit. And if you can't, seek help, because it's not something you can actually deal with yourself. And I love what Laura said. It's mad. Well, when she said that, well, actually, it did seem to be easier to be mad. You just flounce off the door, What? You poles apart. Nothing's resolved, but it seemed easier to be angry, to be mad, to do that. And so again, how can you resolve that? So it's actually looking at those triggers. Because for me, the word sabotage, it's not about self-sabotage, because we associate that with wanting to hurt yourself in some way, we are destroying the relationship. But it's actually this part of you who actually, a younger you, who at some point that action taken because that inner child thought. And in the moment, it probably did. But then you outgrow it. But there's still that younger child who is still taking that action because he or she still believes it's what you've got to do. And so for me, it's about working with the you, the inner child. It's not the you, because the you now actually knows what to do. But there's something you can't take those actions. And so it is about going to that inner child, working on the inner child, and what happened. Reassure them, let them know it is the best with the resources they had at the time, and invite them to grow up inside. You've now got resources and tools. You can behave in a way which is much more healthy. So, what are you thinking on that?
Me?
I can't
What do I think?
Laura?
I think,
Yeah, where you?
I think that it's a lot easier to replicate what I've learned, and it's very difficult, at least from my experience, and it's so unbelievably rewarding to take the one down and say, I don't want to be right, I want to get it right. And if that means, and it's not necessarily saying that you're right, that means that there could possibly be a 10% chance that maybe, just maybe, that I'm not 100% right. And with just that little glimmer of like, maybe, okay, take one down. Because no matter what, if I'm saying, it's all ego. If we stay in that's like a dog with a pull toy. What are you holding on to? How happy? And what I heard eventually said, and after it's done, coming back together, it's so gratifying and so helpful. What if you could possibly get to that place quicker? What if maybe we were able to say, okay, that person's truly not doing anything to me. I have a choice, because when we have this free will, there's so much power in that. When I give up my power and I say, you did this to me, the world's out to get me, I give up any semblance of responsibility. I'm no longer able to respond. That's my excuse, because the world's out to get me and they're doing this stuff to me. Are you guys? They're not thinking about you right now. They're not thinking about me. That's for darn sure. What I do know is that there's fear, taking responsibility and owning my story, or else my story owns me. And all the characters in that story that would own me, they're all characters. They're like, what is it, marionette? Like, ooh, like I'm a monkey, or like a, remember in Sound of Music, that little goat with that one with the Sound of Music when they're doing the characters, marionette. That's what it's like. We're being led. We're being controlled and manipulated, and we're letting it happen. They are not even part of it. We're letting it happen. So when I claim my power and I say, I have this choice to make, I'm the one who's in charge of my life. Why would I? So my uncle's in charge of my life. My grandmother's in charge of my life. How is that? What? When I say I'm in charge of my life, I allow myself with so much power. And then there comes the cognitive challenge. I'm responsible for my life. And now I realize that I've been that way. I've been that way pretty much my own life, except, like little. And then what if everything I did before, because I'm not happy? How did I get here and not unhappy? I'm responsible. Then maybe I was doing it wrong the whole time. That's really scary. That's really humbling. And so when we can get over our own ego and get over ourselves and say, I want me more than that, feeling like that. I want to be happy more than feeling like that. And just let it go and make amends when necessary. And then wake up, people. You have your life. The power is in your hand. And that's so humbling, because now I'm responsible and thereby I'm to blame. Now I can't blame nobody else. So if I screw up and I fail, there is no failing. you're alive. You're not failing. You're alive. You get up and try again. We're gonna fail. Number one, that's what we do. We don't denigrate our children when they're trying to walk. When they stand up and they fall back on their bum when they have a diaper on, we don't say, "What's the matter with you?" We give them a finger and a finger to hold on to and a table to lean up on. And we say, "Yay, you did it! Yay!" How come we can't do that as adults? Okay, I didn't do it right. Well, Edison took 32 times, 3,200, I don't know, to get the light bulb. Did he do it wrong? It was just a progression in learning. It's the first attempt in learning. I'm not a quitter. If I were a quitter, I tap out. I'd rather be a failure than a quitter. So asking even these questions, I'll finish with this, that asking even these questions about this inquiry and like, how can I be better, is it's the mustard seed for the brilliance of something, the blossom that's going to be so beautiful and magnificent that possibly be unable to cope and see its brilliance. Oh, woo! That we're all brilliant. So deal with that.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's so much there. I feel like everybody has had so much. Yeah, I think, or at least the way, and I want to put in another perspective here, because at least for me, and I know that this can be a really common thing, is when self-sabotage happens, we don't even realize we're doing it. Is like really a big part. Don't even realize it. It just kind of happens. And even when we start recognizing that we're self-sabotaging, we don't always want to fix it. Like out of fear, especially, like we're talking about all of the things that, these problematic behaviors that come up, we're like, okay, but it's going to get me where I want to, which is out of this relationship, because I'm afraid of what's going to happen if I stay in it. Right. And so why wouldn't I want to self-sabotage if that was my end goal? Right. Like I'm going to make it happen. Right. And so that can be a really common stance to have, is like, why do I want to fix this? It's getting me to where I want to be. Right. And that's a very short-term goal. The short-term goal being out of the relationship, away from the fear, and life is good. Right. But then you start to have like very long-term effects from that. Right. Because then you start to have, a lack of intimate relationships. You start to feel lonely, maybe. You're not where you're at in where you should be in your life, AKA married with kids, whatever that looks like. Trouble connecting with people, right? Like all of those things start to come up, and they start to become this vicious pattern, right? And so that's the long term of it. And so even though, yes, you got what you wanted in the short term, long term, maybe you're not getting what you wanted from giving into that fear and letting yourself sabotage the relationship. So the biggest thing, and I know someone already mentioned it, but the biggest thing to kind of end those cycles is, number one, like take a look at yourself. Like take a look at yourself and start to work on your issues, right? Whatever that looks like. I know that it can be really easy to just like really flippant to just say, work on yourself. Lots of people say that. You just need to work on yourself. You need to look at your shit. But most people don't know how to do that. So I think number one is, maybe seeing a psychologist, seeing someone who's a professional who can actually help you talk through these things. Taking responsibility for your actions. So recognizing them and being like, yes, I was toxic. Yes, I sabotaged my relationship. Yes, I do this, right? Figuring out maybe what your triggers are. What are the things that are keeping you in this cycle, right? And then someone else already mentioned it, communication. Making sure that you're having open lines of communication, not only with you and your partner, but with yourself as well. Yeah, 100%. So I think Dr. Laura mentioned it. I can't remember who mentioned it, but when you keep it inside and you let it fester, it gives it more power. So whatever the trigger is. So let's say you're having a trigger to something that your partner did, and you're like, I need to get out right now. If you just kind of leave it internal and you let it kind of build up, it's just going to build that power, and you're going to get out of it. Like it's going to immediately end, right? Like you're going to create a situation that's going to make it finish for you. So instead, if you're open yourself up, not only to yourself and recognize, hey, I'm thinking about this right now. Is this a healthy thought to have? Maybe I need to have this conversation with a therapist. Maybe I need to tell my partner this is how I'm feeling. Because I promise you that if you recognize and say, hey, I'm working on some stuff, I notice this triggers come up for me. I want to be in this relationship. I want to put my energy towards this. How can we move forward with this when I'm feeling triggered? Right. And at least in my relationships, once I flipped that script and actually just told them what was going on, they were more likely to be like, okay, cool. Like, I'm glad you're invested. I'm glad you're letting me know about this because we can definitely work on this together. Right. So it can feel really scary to let your partner though know that you're having some doubts or you're feeling a certain way, but that you are invested and you want to be in it, can really make the difference. And it also makes you more vulnerable. It opens up that line of communication with you and your partner and makes your relationship stronger. So you can actually use these moments of self-sabotage to your benefit, in my opinion. I don't know. Namza, do you have anything you want to add?
Watching Dr. Laura commenting now, I think those was the stories that I used to tell myself. Like you say, Robin, you said people, they want to change, but they don't know how to begin with that was my life story. I knew I was sabotaging my relationship. I wanted things to change in the relationship, but I didn't know how. And I think it's very, very important, like you were saying, you need to go to a psychologist or you need to find a therapist. It's very, very important to actually be honest. For me, what helped me most, it was in questions myself. Why my relationship ended, the same story. What happened was when I dated men, I will avoid the pain. And me avoiding the pain, it means when things are not going well in that relationship, I'm out. My mind will start seeing things that are not there, and then I'll be telling somebody that I just want out. And when I say I want out, it means that the relationship has to end because I'm eating pain and trying to protect myself from going through the pain. I don't know what was going on into my head. I don't know. But when I actually did that, I'm not going to go on dates. I'm not going to date anyone. And I need to be honest with myself. I need to find out what is going on with my life. And that's when, and the truth hurts. When you're actually trying to figure out who you are, being honest at that moment, it did hurt. But for me, because I was willing to keep going, I went through I think 3 psychologists or 4 psychologists, and they didn't get through to me. The last, when I finished with her, and I was using Paul McKenna's programs as well. I was following all the instructions that Paul McKenna was doing, and I did everything, mending my broken heart, because I realized that there was something inside of me that wasn't fulfilled. Something there was. My parents divorced. When my parents divorced, there was something that wasn't fulfilled within my heart. And there was this thing where the way they raised me to believe that in relationship people don't fight. But it's not that they didn't fight, they did, but they fight not in front of me. I didn't witness my parents fight. So for me, when I enter a relationship and people start fighting, or a man loses his voice, to me it's like I'm scared. I'm not used to this life. I'm out. And so those were the things that I had to deal with. I had to deal with understanding that we are all individual. People who are different are going to behave different. Because even with my step parents as well, they were different. And I expected a man that dates me to actually treat me like a queen. You explain things to me, because my parents explain things. They don't fight me or they don't tell me off. They sit down with me and tell me the consequences of doing things like, Nomsa, here's the consequences. If you don't focus on life and you run after boys, this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna get pregnant with a child. This is what's gonna happen if you go. You don't listen to your teachers. This is what's gonna happen. How can I get the result you want? So those were the things that my parents would explain to me, and they wouldn't tell me off. I've never like lay hands on me. So those were the things that I didn't know in a relationship that existed, where people would take off me. I'm used to explaining. When Nomsa is in the wrong, Nomsa is used to somebody sitting down and telling her that, Nomsa, you messed up, not raising your voice. And then I have to ask questions. How do I get like communicating? And so those are the things that I had to be honest. And I with Robin, I don't know, Karen, if somebody right now that they are watching, and they don't know, like they want to change things lives, they have this childhood attachment like I had before, and break away from them. What advice would you give them, Carol Ann, that is worked for you or that can work for them? And also, before you get into this, the advice, please tell the audience. Somebody might be watching right now and they don't know what you do. Can you tell the audience quickly what you do, and then answer the question?
Thank you. Yes, I actually support women in becoming more productive with their writing, and by connecting a deeper innate ability to write. But what they then experience is actually free-flowing writing and actually getting the story. Because as I say, you publish what isn't written, so you've got to get it written. And they have, things. It's again, I find my child, what you're saying in terms of relationships, it works there as well. And it's that inner child who had an experience, writing it out and allowing that that story to come out, to be with that story. And in fact, because it happens, we're often interrupted in life. And how do we deal with those interruptions? Do we let it track us? Or do we go, okay, let's move forward? And again, that for me is a form of self-sabotage. You create an interruption because Dr. Roll was saying, it's that you create reality in life. And for what I say is people in my clearing, they show up how I've asked them to show up. So if I've asked for distraction, then someone will show me that, because it'll pull me away. Well, I don't really want to talk about that anyway. I don't know. And it's like, okay, acknowledge it. It's okay to acknowledge those thoughts, because they're just beliefs, they're limiting beliefs. And so then you can move on. There are tools and techniques that I have that can actually transform those limiting beliefs. Many coaches that also have the tools and techniques. If you can't address those limiting beliefs yourself and get support, it's so important. But the key is actually recognizing it. And you asked me, Nomsa, it was about when somebody recognizes, that they've got an inner child that is sabotaging them. How do they go out? And as I said, acknowledge that inner child. What age? Because very often it's different ages of us. It could be somebody, like a 2-3-year-old. It could be you about a year ago, or even a couple of days ago. That is a younger you. that isn't you that's had an experience, that you've dealt with something in a certain way. So if something is happening that you're not comfortable with, and you find yourself reacting, being triggered, just say to yourself, and what age me is here right now? And that age to come to mind, and work with that age you who is here right now. Ask her what was going on for her or him at that time. What didn't get resolved? Didn't land, or miscommunication, or what was happening? Maybe get them to write it out. And then ask to happen for you to be able to resolve this. Find a way of talking it out. Come to some place of forgiveness. And then invite them to grow up inside of you. And let it go. And again, reach out and ask for help and support if you find you like yourself. But the first step is actually acknowledging and recognizing what age you is running the show in that moment. Very often, just by asking that question, and I often find myself asking that question many times to people, they immediately go, oh, that age, it was that, and that's what was happening. And in that realization, things start to shift and change.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing you can do. So that's my answer. Claudia, did you want to add something in there?
Claudia,
yes, absolutely.
Before you answer, Claudia, before you answer, Carol Ann, please, could you please tell the audience quickly what you do if they want to get in touch with you? There might be someone who is watching right now, and we don't want them to miss out. Please explain to them what you do.
No,
absolutely.
Go to my
yes.
Sorry, Claudia. Yeah, I'll answer this question.
No. Sure.
Message me on a Facebook profile at the moment. I have got a writing retreat, which is a writing retreat, which is about supporting to write their story. So it is about helping get into that emotional aspects of their story and write from there. So if you're interested, or you know anyone interested that would like to go on a retreat for a week, just get away from it all and write, get in touch, and just message me on my Facebook profile. And just say I'm interested in your role. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, thank you. So
Sure. Thank you, Carol Ann. So my unique gift is to I'm able to tap into someone's energy field so that I can identify the frequencies in regards to relationships or worthiness or abundance, no matter what it is. But we have like these programs or limiting beliefs and different shifts in regards to this, and I can read the person, identify where they are right now, identifies where the limiting beliefs they might have been running or the programs, and then we can shift them and change them into empowering and positive beliefs. Because what we believe is what we attract outside in our reality. This is how all this society is set up. So basically the world outside is a mirror. This is what I'm doing. So I can help by shifting the limiting beliefs. And here I would like to explain once more as well, everyone in the audience, that we have around, I think they say 5% is the conscious mind, and then we have like up to 95%, which makes the subconscious mind. And the conscious mind is everything we are aware of. It's the creative part of our mind. Everything, we just know the dreams, the wishes, and the desires. But then we have all the 95%, which is the subconscious mind. And here we have the programs, the subconscious is as well like running on autopilot, and everything we have stored here from the past as well. And we are not even aware of it, as you can already get the feeling of the 95%. So basically, if we have some desires or wishes in the 5% conscious mind, but then we have like conflicting programs, limiting beliefs, which are stored in the subconscious, you can already see that the subconscious is running the show. So the subconscious will always bring you in the people, the situations in regards to what's stored in there, and we are not even aware of it. And scientists as well have found out that up to 60% of the beliefs in the subconscious mind are disempowering, are limiting beliefs and self-sabotaging. So this is like something I would like to bring up once more again, because I believe as well we can't hear this over and over again, and to understand how important it is that we get into this subconscious mind and change the programs and the limiting beliefs, and as well can deal with the self-sabotaging as well here. And as Carol Ann as well mentioned, absolutely. I mean, the self-sabotaging is it's basically like an inner voice. It's something inside you is telling you what's going on, what can be addressed, and where you can look at as well. So it's just like nothing to make it up like big or bad or so, just like knowing how to deal with it and to identify it, to address it, so that next time then you have the thing coming up again, that you just know, oh, I'm about again to do that thing I did in the past, that you understand how to deal with it, that you have as well your toolbox, and that you're able as well to identify it and to change it, so that it doesn't have to come up over and over again.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I actually agree with you. And Dr. Laura, before you comment on Claudia's comment, would you like to tell the audience what you do?
I empower women to. I'm like Glenda, the Good Witch of the North, from the Wizard of Oz. I help them tap into their own vessel and their own selves so that they don't need me, which sounds like professional suicide. Essentially, I help women soar to their own best lives. And I want you to share your story on stages, so your voice is heard on stages and your words are read on pages without the self-sabotage. Okay, are you done? Are you done?
Stop it. Just stop it. You got this. You're amazing.
Don't you see what I see in you? I see amazingness. I see wonderful. There's a bottomless vessel that is so full up. I want you to be so full and fabulous of yourselves. That's what that you can't help but nourish others from the overflow. I help women do that, so that they can do that for themselves, and then go on and teach others how to do that. So, yeah. And to comment on Claudia,
Thank you so much.
it's fabulous. What else is there to say?
And Robin, would you like to tell the audience what you do? You comment, please, quickly.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Robin, obviously. I'm the owner, director, and author at Glow Yoga Kids here in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Basically, we're a movement and mindfulness company. So we go into schools, daycares, do events, birthday parties, all that fun stuff for kids. Obviously, I'm super far from most of you, but hopefully some of the listeners will be from Edmonton or Canada and will be interested in the other classes. We have lots of weekly classes coming up this fall. As far as what everybody had to say, I kind of wanted to jump in and throw something else into the mix, just because I feel like I always have to do that. For me, I'm thinking of also, I know before I mentioned that we don't always want to change our habits, even when they come around, but I also wanted to just mention a very, very common side effect of bipolar disorder is self-sabotage. And I like to throw that in there because sometimes it's not, I don't want to say it's not our fault, because we still do have, control over our lives and what we choose to do with our conditions. But sometimes we might not realize as well that we're struggling with the mental illness. So I like to always throw in there mental illness, because it does come around and it's not cookie cutter. So it's not like, oh, just change your habits and you'll be fine. It's like, no, like, I have bipolar disorder. I need to, work through those things. So I just wanted to make that comment that self-sabotage is a really common cycle for people with bipolar disorder. And it's super, super important that, if you're thinking that maybe you're starting to notice these patterns, or you're starting to notice something like that, or you're starting to notice really high and really low mood swings, that it's also a really great idea, on top of what I mentioned before, to go and see a psychologist as well, making sure that you're assessing all of the potentials when it comes to self-sabotage, not just, trauma and fear and, things that, the majority of us deal with, but also could be potentially something on top of that. I know so many people that go undiagnosed. So I think it's just super important to mention that if you're feeling like you're having really, really big mood swings and you're doing a lot of self-sabotage in your life, that potentially there could be something else at play. And through that, and through bipolar and just in general, I think there's a few other things that might help to recognize some of these patterns, because we often don't realize them. I think journaling is a really great idea, using positive affirmations. I'm pretty sure Claudia has mentioned that in the past. Affirmations are a really big, powerful tool. And something that I do often, being someone with ADHD, is a brain dump as well. So when you are having so many thoughts and your brain is like clouded with a lot of things, and you're feeling like, I need to do something rash, or I need to move forward with this, having a brain dump. So literally just like having a place where you can just like let everything out of your brain, whether that be a journal or in a psychology session or whatever that looks like. Sorry, it just felt like I needed to mention that there might be something else at work there. Go get checked for bipolar. I don't know.
Dr. Laura, I'm going to say goodbye to our audience because you have a meeting. Would you like to say goodbye to the audience? Dr. Laura?
Yeah, be well, speak soon, and remember what you learned in your kindergarten or first grade. Works well with others, keeps hands to self. If you remember that, pretty much, you'll be all right. And check yourself before you wreck yourself. Thanks. All. Peace out. And,
thank you so much, Dr. Laura. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope you come back soon. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
I want to add to what Robin just said as well. And sometimes we listen to our inner critics and we believe in our inner critics and the language that comes into our inner critics. And then that can cause barrier as well. And when you listen to your critical inner voice, it could actually, you could become your own enemy as a person. And when you become your enemy, it means every relationship that you enter is going to be affected. So it's very, very important to be aware when your inner voice is criticizing you. Myself, I'm always have earphones, so it does help me out. My inner voice criticizing me or something, I say it out loud straight away. Sometimes people think I'm on my phone, but I'm not. I'm just talking to myself. I was talking to one of the guys today. I walked into the office and I was like, yesterday he was talking to himself and I was like, are you finished talking to yourself? He's like, I've not won the argument, Nomsa. This inner critic still winning. I'm still trying to win the argument. What he was trying to say was like he's just trying to sort his life out, but there's this inner critic that keeps pulling him down. But he's aware of it and he's getting there. So we could sabotage the relationships that way by listening to our inner takes. So it's very, very important. Was it Robin or Amanda that mentioned the bad habit that we get sometimes? We need to be aware of them and willing to recognize them and relearn them, those better habits. I get really like, I'm aware when I have a habit, I am aware of it, and also be able to communicate with other people as well. I think it is very, very important when you are in a relationship and be able to communicate with your spouse instead of thinking the worst. And I've seen people myself that people think the worst about what they think about that life is not really like when relationship, like my friends, they'll be they want to ask their spouse something, but in their head they've made up something that it doesn't exist. I'm like, why don't you just ask a question? If you have a question to ask, why don't you ask instead of getting upset, wondering what they get up to? Just ask a question. For me, in this house, everyone knows. If there's something that I need to know, Nomsa will ask a question. And my daughter will be like, Mommy, stop being nosy. I'm like, I just need to know. And she'll be like, and the other day we were at her grandparents, and her grandparent offered them a champagne, and she looks at me and she says no, and everyone else goes and get that champagne, and then she looks at me, and then I'm like, you know what, life is a choice. This is how I'm raising you, so you need to make that choice yourself and leave me out of that choice. And she just stood up and went and got the champagne because she wanted to test it really. So, and I was like, when you make a choice in life, it's got to be a choice. Me, I'm just there to guide you through life, but the choices that we make in life will define who we are. So when it comes to relationship, never assume, always ask questions. There's something that you don't understand, always ask, and you will save time, the arguments and everything. And if you are married, there's something you don't understand, just ask. Boyfriend, ask. Never assume a girlfriend, ask. Your queen, ask your king. Or you cannot add.
Yeah, just keep asking questions, keep questions. And it is that being aware and not just settling for how things are, which is a great piece of advice there. And so I totally agree. And so said about the fears in leaving because you don't know what to expect. Sometimes, I think it was Dr. Laura in our chat, someone did. It's easy to stay with what you know. So it's like that. Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And very often that was what helped me in my relationship, in my marriage, was because I was more fearful about being out of it than I was in it. And so you put up with what's happening, and even as uncomfortable as it is, and as much as you don't like what's happening and how it is, and you want to be able to change it, but you somehow can't. The thought of being outside of it is like, oh no, I don't know if I could deal with that. And so it is recognizing that. But there's something else that's really great to recognize is that it is practicing that introspection. It's noticing when you think that your relationship is starting to get a bit rough, and then go in and go, well, what's happening? What am I thinking? What's going on for me right now? Rather than what's going on for your partner, which I think we tend to look at what's going on for them, why they're being like they're being. Go inside. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? Where has this come from? And so again, it's inner work, but it is that in that moment. And I think, was it, Robin, did you mention about triggers? Someone mentioned triggers. So what is the trigger? What happened? What had you think? Start thinking what you're thinking and really become aware. And it is waking up and realizing it's okay to face these triggers and understand them and do something about it. Because actually, once you can step outside, if the relationship needs to end, you will survive. You will survive. I didn't think I could. 24 years later, or 23 years later, I'm still here. I have survived. Has it been? Not necessarily. No, there's been tough, but I survived. I got through. And so it is recognizing that being outside of that relationship can actually be better than being inside it. But again, it depends what's your journey. What is your journey? Are you really meant to be together? Do you want to be together? Because if you do, then both of you will want to do something about it. Not just one, it'll be both of you. And that's where you seek support. We did get some counselling. It helped a little bit. It woke me up to a few things in my past that I started remembering. It had an impact, but that's what we didn't do anymore. And I wish I knew what I've now trained in. I wish I knew more about that then than I did now. But hey, what I've realised is, you know what you're meant to know, taking a moment in time. If I was meant to know then what I know now, I would have known it then. And that's something to recognize. You are given the tools, you do have the resources available for you at any moment in time. You just need to recognize them. And I just like to leave people with, where is it? The reason that I can't find the enemy is that I have yet to look within myself. Craig Lansborough says that. So stop looking outside for the enemy. Look inside. Claudia, would you like to?
Yes, absolutely. As well, what you absolutely, Carol, and you mentioned know your triggers, and I say as well as a final tip as well, like watch them, understand them, find a mentor who can help you as well to show you actually the mirror, because maybe you've been trying to work on your relationship style before, but it didn't work out, because sometimes as well, when we don't reach out for help outside of us, we don't really see what's really going on inside of us, or we are not really being honest as well with us. And this is the beauty of reaching out and working with someone, so that they can hold the safe container for you and give you actually as well the tools for it. Don't see it as a negative thing as well, the self-sabotage. Understand it's a voice inside of you which wants to be heard. And I recommend as well to reflect a bit on your worthiness and feeling good enough, self-love, self-esteem. So these are very common reasons why we would start to self-sabotage, because we feel a bit, we just don't have healthy, positive beliefs in all of these areas. And they tend usually to come from some earlier time in our lives. So just like as well, do some reflection, be honest about you, about your life as well, and journaling as well. Write it down and just see what comes up, so that you can start as well to actually to look inside of you rather than outside, and to blame as well the other party of the relationship. Take responsibility, I say as well, yeah? It's about taking responsibility and ownership as well for our own life, because we create it and we can live it as we want it to be. It can be heaven on earth if you want.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's all been said. I think, my final words of advice are just echoing what everyone else said. I think, number one, if this is becoming a consistent pattern for you, that don't feel ashamed, go and speak to somebody about it, right? And I always preach the psychology angle because I do think that that's the best way to go about it. I know that it's not always for everybody, but as much as our friends and family are lovely to speak to, one, they're biased, and two, it can be really hard on other people's mental health when we unload on them if they're not a professional. So I think that finding a professional is like the best way to go, being open in your communication, and just taking a look at yourself and figuring out what that looks like for you and how you can move forward in the best way. That's my last words of advice.
Ladies, and for me, I'm gonna go with Claudia as well. Take responsibilities and work on yourself. And if things are not going the way you want to when you are working on yourself, don't be too hard. Carol always say, don't make yourself wrong. It takes time to get to where you need to be when it comes to confidence, when it comes to knowing the things that you want to do. Is a life journey, and be the person that you want to be. And in your relationship, you could have that relationship that you want as long as you're willing to do the work. And we are here at Ngozi Talk Shows Monday to Friday, and please get in touch with Carol Ann. She has a writing retreat coming up, and please support her by following her on her social media. And if you want to sign up, get in touch with her, find out. I think she has the information. Everything is on her social media or landing page. Just get in touch with her. If you want to know more, please find voice. It means taking action. So take action and get in touch with her, get in touch with Robin, find out about what she does if you're watching in Canada, or whether she has classes on classes. You only know you can ask. And Claudia as well, she's if you want to be coached by her, please take action. Get in touch with Claudia. And if you are looking for love and you want to break the chains and write your own story and be the person that you want to be, get in touch with me. And live with grace, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend, and God bless.